spoke to Max for ages.
Wedding, Laura's wedding. Okay, thank you.